Thanks for tuning in to WilmsFront. Visit Tim Wilm, broadcasting from the Unshackled Studios in Melbourne. This is WilmsFront, brought to you by theunshackled.net. Now here's Tim Wilms.
Hello everyone and welcome to this weekly edition of WilmsFront. Today is Wednesday the 23rd of September 2020. We are live on the show YouTube and D-Live channels, as well as also on the interactive entropy software, which I've put in the YouTube live description, and I'll also put into the D-Live description as well. It is 7:10 here in lockdown Melbourne. Apologies for the 10-minute late start. For those who tried to tune in to the original stream, my microphone audio interface is still playing up, so back with the webcam microphone for now. So I'll continue to sort out why it keeps failing or is faint, but this will do the trick for now. Now, the state of the coronavirus second wave here in Melbourne is that daily case numbers have continued their steady decline, with Melbourne's 14-day rolling new case average today dipping below 30. The 14-day rolling case average, that's the new metric now about whether Dan will relax, let us take the next step out of his roadmap, out of restrictions. So as things stand at the moment, Melbourne will take its second mini step out of lockdown, going from stage 3.9, as I call it, to stage 3.8, scheduled for this Monday, the 28th of September. But today, at his daily coronavirus press briefing, Dan Andrews said that due to the coronavirus curve continuing to decline rapidly, he's looking at updating his slow roadmap to lessen restrictions in more areas when we take this next step. I don't know whether that'll include being able to get a legal haircut, given, well, as you can see, if you're a regular tuner into my show, my hair just keeps getting crazier and crazier, but it's partly my own fault because I didn't go to the hairdressers even when they were open during the first and second lockdowns. But I would certainly not take Dan Andrews' indication that he's looking at further relaxation of restrictions to the bank, because we should know by now to have extremely low expectations about a speedier timeline out of lockdown, given how many people, when he announced his initial September 5 roadmap, were not just disappointed, but also devastated. Dan has repeatedly claimed that if we reopen the economy too soon, then we will just walk into a third wave, but the continuing cost of lockdown is growing, with more pubs announcing they will not be reopening when lockdown is lifted. Even when venues are able to reopen in Melbourne, it looks like it'll still be much of a ghost town, with so many businesses being permanently shut, and there are more presentations at hospitals for mental health issues, which is tragic and very distressing. Dan's claimed that the low current daily case numbers are vindication that his strategy is working. The curfew, the 5-kilometre radius within your home, and the masks, but never mind that it was his chaotically run hotel quarantine program that unleashed Victoria's second wave. The judicial inquiry is heard today from Jobs Minister Martin Bakula and Police Minister Lisa Neville, and also heard earlier this week from governmental department heads. Neither these ministers nor senior bureaucrats still have not been able to recall who made the decision to use private security companies rather than Victoria Police or Australian Defence Force personnel. I've already made the point that there seems to be this mysterious person amongst these meetings who mysteriously decides all these things or makes recommendations to Dan Andrews, like when he said he couldn't recall who came up with the idea for the curfew, which used to be at 8 p.m. but is now at 9 p.m. There were a further 5 deaths attributed to the coronavirus that Dan announced today that were all linked to aged care outbreaks. The total number of Victorians who have died with coronavirus in their system stands at 771. That is 749 in this second wave. The aged care outbreaks has been the most unforgivable aspect of Victoria's second wave, while Andrews decreed, well, he's still continuing to, the decree of the lockdown of the young, fit and healthy. His government failed to protect the old and vulnerable, which should have been the paramount priority all along. Victoria's second wave, which has largely been driven by community transmission, exposed how poor the Victorian government's contact tracing system has operated, with health department officials up until very recently using pens, paper, post-it notes and fax machines. Dan has repeatedly told Victorians that even though most people infected with the coronavirus experience mild symptoms, that because it is a wildly infectious virus, without lockdowns, more vulnerable people would be infected, they would need to be hospitalised, overrunning our health system, and would lead to more deaths. Dan has also told young Victorians that there can be lifelong negative health effects for those who recover from the virus. Victoria has a total population of 6.8 million, but only 20,000 of the state's residents have contracted the coronavirus. So rather listen to the hyperbole of Dan Andrews at his daily press conferences. Tonight, my featured guest is a person for whom Garry Hume has been an active member of the Melbourne patriot scene for many years, attending many of the United Patriots Front and True Blue crew rallies when street political activism was lawful. He was also a member of the Milo 5 group of patriots who were charged by Victoria Police for affray and various other offences when they were attacked by Antifa and socialist protesters outside the Milo Yiannopoulos Melbourne event in December 2017. Garry's daughter, who lives in the family home, contracted the coronavirus in her workplace. All of the people I know who've contracted the coronavirus during Victoria's second wave have contracted it at work. Garry himself did not test positive, but as a close contact had to isolate and provide care for his daughter while she recovered from the virus. Garry, welcome back to the show.
Tim, very nice to be here. Nice to see you.
Now, the last time I saw you in person was, well, when you last appeared on WilmsFront in our former studio in December 2019, just before Christmas. We were celebrating the Brexit breakthrough. Boris Johnson won the Brexit deadlock election, and we're all feeling quite optimistic about what the 20s would bring. But, well, it's been a shocker so far. The beginning of the 20s, and even though I'm getting to speak to you now, I don't know when we'll be legally able to meet up with each other again.
Yeah, sad times, Tim. It's certainly sad times, and it seems like that seems like a lifetime ago, to be honest with you. Who'd have thought, just before Christmas we were absolutely flying, and just a few short months later it's like it's absolutely turmoil. We are living we're not really living at the moment, are we? We're just in a hellhole.
Oh, we are living, but we're not living a quality
you think
of life.
This is not living? I don't classify this as living, really. I mean, Jesus, being cooped up, I don't think so.
No, I wasn't disagreeing with you there. I was just saying we are living, but our quality of life at the moment is extremely poor. Daniel Andrews says, well, he's repeatedly said that the lockdowns are not about human rights, it's about human life. And, well, I've repeatedly made the point, what quality of human life?
Well, that's exactly right. We're not having any quality of life, and the problem is with Danny Boy. He's going for the eradication instead of which we just can't eradicate it. But instead of living with it, we can live with it. But unfortunately, he's not taking that option. He's going for an option that just isn't possible. It's just not possible. You're never going to eradicate it.
Well, the Western world has lived through the pandemic since March this year, even though the virus, well, it was first born, first confirmed case in Wuhan, China was December 19th. So it was actually three days before our pre-Christmas interview. So we were unaware of what had been created, whether it was through that wet market bat soup, or what had leaked out of that bioweapons facility, that it was going to change our lives as we know it the next year. We knew about the coronavirus, the outbreak and the lockdown in Wuhan, China in January and February, but we didn't think that. Well, there were confirmed cases here, but we never anticipated that there was going to need to be these national lockdowns. But in March, that's when the Western world acted in unison to lock down, and we saw the hospital and grave scenes in New York and Italy, and Australia, through its newly created national cabinet, took decisive action to shut the international borders, which you and I had been calling for stricter border control for many years. Isn't it ironic that the progressives have learned to love borders so much in 2020?
They love it. They absolutely love it. It's quite remarkable, really. Like you said, we've always wanted borders you can control, but close borders totally. What person in the right mind would want to close borders? In their entirety. I mean, even state borders. I mean, that's just absolutely obscene at the moment.
I'm keen to know your initial thoughts on, because even late March we still didn't know all that we know now about the virus, and the deal was that we've got to flatten the curve so our health system wasn't overrun. And because I didn't know everything about the virus, because it was made in China, and we know how secretive and how much they lied, I was prepared to sort of accept that deal at the time. But as soon as
I think everyone did, Tim. That's the thing. It was new. No one had a clue. No one had an idea really what was going on. Every year we're told about, there's a new virus. This is going to kill us all, and it's going to be Armageddon. So to have this new thing come out of China, I don't think people really took much notice of it, to be honest with you.
Oh, we've had so many viruses, actual declared pandemics during the 21st century. Was that you're older than me, so you'd remember SARS of 2002. I remember when I was at uni in 2009. That's when swine flu had arrived in Melbourne, and it was just something that was in the news. I wouldn't want to get it, but there was no thought of.
No one really takes any notice of it. This is the first time this is the first time I've ever known for this sort of thing to happen. So I've never really paid any attention to it. Yes, we've had previous outbreaks of this, that, and the other, but you just brush it off. You just carry on with life.
For some, I think basically due to fear of the unknown, I think that's why the Australia reacted with such drastic action in late March. And I remember we started, the curve was flatlining in late April, and I was of the view, okay, we flatten the curve now, let's get back to normal now. But particularly in our state of Victoria, where Chairman Dan, Dictator Dan, Despot Dan, we were calling him Dictator Dan before it was cool.
I think, as far as I know, we've been calling Dictator Dan from probably the second week in the job, I think.
Yeah, and the entire patriot movement, because the trigger for the birth of the patriot movement in early 2015 was the Link Cafe siege in Sydney. with that Man Monis.
Man Morris.
Yeah. And that's when Reclaim started the early next year, and that also coincided with Dan Andrews' election as Premier. And we need to constantly remind everyone of Dan's despicable actions over the years. The first thing he did when he became Premier was cancel the East-West link.
And how, just refresh my memory, Tim, I think that was how many billions? About 1.2 billion?
At least $1 billion not to build a road.
Yeah, it's staggering. A road that's needed. It's a road that is needed drastically. But I think the inner city hipsters and the Greens who are strong in Melbourne just they didn't want to buy out of it.
Because you live up in the northeast, which I know that when I've ever ventured up that way, I dread the commute because you've got to go all up these. Though Dan is it's in the starting soon the northeast link, which links.
It's actually started. They're doing the prep work. I drive past there every day. They're doing the prep work as we speak. To be honest, yeah.
I mean, he has done things with removing the level crossings. I'm not sure if you've noticed that up in your area.
He's dominated at that. That's definitely his forte, is removal of level crossings. Yeah.
Although the thing is about the roads and rail now, it's not like anyone can actually use them.
No, the roads are great at the moment. That's probably the only good thing to come out of all this. You can get from A to B quite quickly. It's nice.
As long as you're out for a lawful reason, because...
And you're not going any more than 5Ks down the road, obviously. Yeah.
Unless it's for work or giving care.
Who'd have thought you needed a permit to go to work?
Yeah, permitted worker papers.
Yeah, who'd have thought that? Yeah. Absolutely. It was funny. I went up to, I think it was on the, around about June. I had to go up to Bacchus Marsh, which was in a different, you needed to go through a border control there. And I didn't actually need a permit then, but I had to show my driver's license, and they just inquired what you're doing up there. I was actually going up there to do some work. And it's quite surreal, actually, just going, 50 Ks up the road, and you stopped at a roadblock, and you question what you're doing. And it was it would have been about June, July time, because that's when cafes closed down. You couldn't have any, you couldn't eat in here, but you could have, you could eat in any country cafe. So it's really different.
Now going back to Dan's infrastructure blitz, which I think was the main factor about why he won that landslide re-election in 2018, but you and I both know, and so did many others, that the chickens would come home to roost, because it's been well repeated now that most normies are waking up that Dan Andrews has never run a business and has no idea how business works, and all of the infrastructure that he's built, it's all been overpriced. There was just in the news yesterday about how it's going to cost hundreds of millions to get rid of that toxic soil with the Westgate tunnel. So yes, things are being built, but severely overpriced, and we know how he and his union buddies are like that, so they get all their sweet deals as well, and the state's finances were not looking well going into this pandemic. And obviously with the amount of revenue that the state would be losing, and every time Dan makes a funding announcement, whether it be a payment for getting a test or isolating, or it's for mental health or small business, arts and community grants, that's money that the state doesn't have.
No, it doesn't have. I mean, before this actually all happened, I think Victoria was in debt to a huge amount of money. Then it was something like about $80 billion, and that was before the pandemic actually started. Since then, I just, I hate to imagine. I mean, where's the money coming from? Who's funding this? It's quite staggering.
there's been a lot of speculation about where
Absolutely.
the money is coming from. That a lot of it's borrowed from People's Republic of China, which is.
Mm.
It's been often joked that this is the People's Republic of Victoria. We're basically not much different. It's no longer a meme.
No, and I think it's quite true. But what is quite good now is people have actually woken up to this. It's been reported on the even on the mainstream media now, and even the Belt and Road project where we were onto that maybe 2 years ago. It's now people have actually woken up to that. Even Morrison is trying to put something forward to to be able to stop that federally, which is a great move. Yeah.
Hey, and Dan, when he learnt about that, was not happy. I'm not sure if you
No,
saw
he
him that
wasn't.
day.
No. He just throws a bit of a hissy fit, really, and he just he's not a pleasant person, is he? Let's be honest.
No, well, we both knew that. We're sort of doing a lot of. We all knew this about Dan and his government already, but it's the silver lining in this horrid year in Victoria is that so many others have woken up because he's turfed a lot of people out of their jobs, shut down their businesses, separated them from friends and family. Limited their movements, daily movements outside the home, forced people to wear masks, and so a lot of people are.
Actually, I don't. Can I just say I don't mind wearing my mask. It's I quite often wear this out. It's I don't know if you can see it. It's it's a pleasure to wear this.
Sack Dan Andrews for those who are listening on audio.
Yeah, I don't actually mind wearing this.
Yeah, because as long as it covers your nose and your mouth, it can have whatever. I
popped down. It's quite new actually. I got this. A good friend of mine got this for me last week, and I popped down to the supermarket, and I got some looks, but I got some people saying, "Oh, nice, yeah." There's a lot of people up in arms about what's going on, and I think people have had a guts full of Dan Andrews, and it's quite remarkable with the latest polling. I've no idea where they're getting those numbers from.
Yes, well, the polls that have been, it's mainly Roy Morgan polling, that's been the most consistent one. There was also a news poll and a central media poll, but they're polling based on the public's reaction to Dan Andrews' handling of the pandemic, which is different from
the Stockholm syndrome, I think.
It's the Melbourne syndrome now. I think it was.
It's definitely the Melbourne.
Johannes Leek who did that. He's had some cracking cartoons about Victoria. We've got a super chat here on Entropy. A reminder to everyone, if you want to ask me and Garry a question or send through a super chat, please click on the Entropy link in the YouTube live chat or the D live chat. It's from your Milo 5 you're not co-accused anymore, but comrade? No, that's not the right term.
No, definitely not a comrade.
Yeah, brother,
associate,
brother.
Yeah,
that's the word. Gazza has always been in the thick of it, protected and stood strong with Ricky T on Australia Day 2019, and stood with me on Australia Day. He a total Chad. Marg is Gary's biggest fag tune. Yeah, Margot Huss, my moderator. She apparently likes you as well.
Very nice.
But Australia Day 2019, you're with Ricky T when he almost got lynched for standing with his...
No. He didn't. Not almost. He did get lynched. He really did. He got dragged down the street. That was a lynching if ever there was one. Yeah.
And you're also there in 2020. Were you with Neil at the time when he was...
Myself and Erikson, we stood there. We stood there proudly. And actually, before we had the chance to do anything, the police arrested Erikson because he was stood there minding his own business on Australia Day. Wasn't doing anything, just stood on the steps outside Flinders Street. You just can't make that shit up. You really can't.
Although, if you go back and watch Neil's video of his, well, he wasn't arrested, he was detained. That's the official wording. Based on September 2020 Victoria Police conduct, they were actually very tame with how they removed him. They just gently dragged him away. It was very. They were very gentle with him.
Yeah, I think the thing is with Erikson, he's been profiled within an inch of his life. He really has. It's quite funny. I know it's different. It's the same story, different walks of different people. But I remember 8 years ago, possibly, the Flemington Sudanese community. They actually sued Victoria Police for profiling. I can't understand why Erikson hasn't sued him for the same outcome.
Well, he hasn't got a lot of legal centres behind him.
No. Yeah. Well, that's right. I mean, I've been with him many times when he's just been detained, shall we say, just for standing there, doing nothing, standing there, possibly with a flag, walking down the street. It's people don't realise this. You've got to see it to believe it. You're walking down the street and you get detained for no other reason.
Oh, it's a breach of the peace. That's the...
walking down the street and it's a breach of the peace, yeah. Oh, staggering.
Which is basically because Neil's presence...
Who he is. Who he is.
Triggers
a response.
The various lefties.
Yeah, it does. It does indeed, but it's still profiling. He has been profiled for years just because of who he is.
So that was, January 2020 when, things were still normal. Well,
normal. As normal as you can get in Victoria. Well, in Melbourne.
Yeah, so we went to the stage 3 stay-at-home restrictions in late March. That was the 4 reasons to leave the house, which were either essential shopping, work, exercise, giving care or receiving care. There were no face covering mandates at that time. But you also have to remember at that time that there was very little community transmission. It was
very low.
Overseas travellers, and the people who were contracting the coronavirus locally, they'd been with their close. It was normally a close contact who had been overseas. So it was very easy at that time for all our states and territories to eliminate the virus just by shutting the international borders. But this is when we, since the beginning of that first stage 3 lockdown, we Victorians got a glimpse of the full dictator Dan in full flight, using the big stick enforcement approach with the threats of the fines, which are extremely high. The $1,652 fine for breaching the chief health officer's directives. So now we know that a lot of these directives, they weren't actually recommended by the chief health officer. They're called his directives, but as we know, the curfew wasn't one of his recommendations. So
that comes straight from Dan.
Yeah,
that comes straight from Dan. Not even the Vic Poll owned up to that one.
Yeah. I don't call them captain's calls. I call them dictatorial decrees.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But that's when his hectoring lecturing began. It's like, if you don't comply with this, you'll be punished, and you could kill your grandmother or a mate. The really draconian big stick approach.
I think I think he gets a bit of a kick out of that. He seems to enjoy it. That's when he's seems to be at his happiest. He loves that. Iron fist. He really does. Total rule, I think it is. Yeah.
And Victoria issued the most fines, banned the most things. Remember, we were there during the first lockdown, the only state to ban golf and fishing, even though there's still...
Don't forget learner drivers. Don't forget learner drivers.
Oh yes, because that fine was rescinded basically because they had made clear that doing
Public
that
backlash.
was wrong.
Yeah.
Don't forget some of the other fines that were rescinded. A tradie washing his car at a self-service car wash at 2 a.m. in the morning, because that was the only free time he could get to wash his car, even though he was washing his car. It was a self-serve car wash at 2 in the morning. The only people within his vicinity were the police who fined him, which was withdrawn.
Yeah, I know the first time around there was a lot of fines. They were rescinded. There was a bit of discretion going on there then, but there's certainly not now. It's very hard. There's no fines being rescinded now.
So we had the Victoria issued the most fines, banned the most things, and was also the slowest to emerge from lockdown, because it was May the 9th when Scott Morrison launched the 3-step framework to a COVID-safe Australia, and that was 2 days before Mother's Day, and Dan Andrews was like, nothing changes today. The state of emergency expires on Monday. That's when I'll announce what the changes are, and Victoria Police will be enforcing the current rules on the weekend. Basically, if you try to visit your mother on Mother's Day,
he likes having the final word. That's for sure. It's all about him, his rules, not Morrison's. It's about Andrews. It's his rules. It's all about him. Even when he speaks, he never says, collectively, us as a government, or us or we. It's always I, all the time.
And then when he did announce on the Monday the slight relaxation of the first stage 3 lockdown, you're allowed private gatherings of 5 in the home and 10 outside, but cafes and restaurants and pubs couldn't reopen yet, because he decided that it wasn't feasible for pubs to reopen with limits of 10. It didn't matter what the individual business thought. He just decided that himself.
Yeah, I mean, that was just quite incredible, really. Yeah. You got to feel sorry for the pubs, because I don't think COVID's ever been passed on in a bar, as far as I know.
Not at a golf course or not at a hairdresser's.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Yeah. How's your hair looking? How's your hair looking, Tim?
Oh, you can see it. It's getting quite wild.
Luckily, my daughter gave me a haircut the other day, so it's all good.
Yeah. Which is Dan eventually confessed that yes, he did. His wife did give him a light trim. He initially denied that he'd had a trim. He said it definitely wasn't a black market haircut.
Yeah, rightio. I want to know, Brett Sutton. The guy is he's very tanned all the time, isn't he? You ever noticed that?
Yes. Well, not much is actually known about him. He could have some olive blood in him.
He's very brown, but he certainly loves being in front of the TV.
Yeah, although I do much prefer his demeanour to Dan's. Brett is much more.
He's happy.
Pleasant.
He's happy.
I still don't know whether he's as bad as Dan, because as we know, as we're beginning to learn, a lot of these decisions are not ones that are based on his recommendations, just what Dan decides. You wonder if he's in sort of a hostage situation.
He's just a person that's been stuck in front of the camera. I believe, personally. Well, I don't think he's got much clout.
Yeah, we don't see him every day. We see.
No, he's actually disappeared of late. He's certainly not on as often.
We see the new deputy chief health officer Alan Chang quite regularly now,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they moved on Annalise Van Diemen.
Van Diemen, and so they should do. I mean, what did she say? Yeah, she compared COVID to the invasion by Captain Cook. I mean, Jesus, what you could see what her political agenda was straight away there. My
Yeah,
goodness.
because she was making the analogy that, just like the Brits brought diseases which infected the
Yeah.
Aboriginal population, the Chinese have imported a foreign virus. But the way I interpret it, she was actually talking about the Chinese being foreigners bringing a virus. So she was actually.
She could have been. She was bagging the Chinese. Yeah. Well, we can roll with that.
Yeah, I remember Dan defended her at the time, saying, "Oh, the tweet was made on a day off," and I was like, "A day off during the middle of a pandemic?"
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But as we know now, they didn't seem to be doing much to basically. Well, we've been told all along that the official National Cabinet policy is to suppress the virus, though definitely in Victoria, steps weren't taken during the flatten the curve period to have systems in place to make sure that if there was an outbreak, the virus could be suppressed and outbreaks contained. So obviously, you understand.
They failed. They certainly failed on the tracing. COVID tracing. That's for sure. I mean, you look at other states, certainly at New South Wales, and they've smashed it. They've dominated, and they haven't. They're up and running still. You can go down a pub and have a beer and a meal, and go to the sport.
Don't have to wear a mask. Life is pretty much normal. You can't.
I mean, it's almost normal. It's probably as normal as you can possibly get at the moment.
Yeah. You can't have a wild party or a wild wedding, though. That's there. But you also can't hold a large demonstration in Sydney as well, which, to be fair to New South Wales Police, they have at least applied equally. I mean, they've shut down all the Black Lives Matter rallies, and they also shut down the Sydney Freedom Day march in Hyde Park.
Yeah, absolutely. They certainly didn't get stopped in Victoria. There was no pushback at all. The police didn't come out with a ring of steel. They didn't come out on horseback to just arrest everyone. It was quite remarkable, really. But we live in Victoria. It's a state of double standards, as we know.
It's been heaps of citizen YouTubers have clipped together Luke Cornelius, the Assistant Commissioner, Chief Wiggum, as he's popularly known, cutting up his statements about facilitating the Black Lives Matter rallies, yet the selfish, tinfoil hat, batshit crazy anti-lockdown protesters.
That Cornelius, he, we've been honoured enough to give us, an hour's exercise a day. That guy doesn't look as if he takes it, does it?
No. We haven't heard from him last couple of weeks. We've heard from
he's another one that's vanished.
We've heard from other deputy commissioners, such as Rick Nugent and Neil Patterson.
Yeah, I think that Patterson, he's a bit more warm.
And obviously, looks a bit trimmer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's definitely got a bit more bounce to him, a bit fitter, should we say? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So pubs, cafes, and restaurants were finally allowed to reopen in late May.
I think gyms opened about the same time, if memory serves me right.
No, they had to wait until further. Well, it was when Dan
It wasn't too long after that, because I went back to the gym, and it was only probably, or maybe it was a little bit afterwards, because I think gyms only stayed open for about 2 weeks, and they got closed down again. Yeah.
But that was when the curve was pretty flat. in Victoria, but that's also the same time when the second wave is started to leak out of the Ridges Hotel on Swansea Street. 99% of second wave cases have been genomically
pointed back to that.
traced back to that hotel. I just sort of wonder with that hotel now, what's going to be the future of it, given that it's notoriety now.
I don't think I'd be fancy going there for a romantic night, Tim. That's for sure.
No. I think because Ridges is an international hotel chain, they probably might just shut it down and just move it somewhere else.
Just do away with it. I don't think there's any coming back from that, to be honest with you.
Even though we now know that's where the second wave began, when the cases started to rise in mid-June, Dan blamed families getting together.
Family gatherings.
Yeah, and Victorians being too complacent.
Being blasé, that's right, not doing the right thing. He blamed everyone. He pretty much blamed everyone apart from putting his hand up and saying, listen, we've made a stuff up here. No, Dan doesn't operate like that.
And when he started to delay the further relaxation of restrictions, you have to remember, and I noticed that Boris Johnson is now following the Dan Andrews model with the softening up for the second lockdown. First, it's the suspension of the relaxation. Then it's the localized lockdowns. Remember, we had the 10 postcode lockdown, and that was on a Thursday. Then on that was Thursday, the 2nd of July, and then on Saturday, 4th of July, that's when the 9 public housing towers went into
lockdown.
That level 5 Wuhan lockdown that I call it. Yeah, and then it was the Thursday after that when all of Metro Melbourne went into another stage 3 6-week lockdown, we were told at the time, which was scheduled to end on August the 16th, which is a long time ago.
Seems like a distant memory now, doesn't it?
Yeah. But I remember at the time Dan was like, if Victorians don't behave, I'll be locking down all the postcodes. I'll be doing this. I'll be doing that.
Yeah. I mean, and that's when he revels in that ability to wave a stick and chastise people. It's just Dan Andrews all over, really, isn't it?
Which is why I can't watch his daily press briefings anymore.
It's the same day in, day out. Absolute dribble. It really is.
Because we are basically living our lives on what he announces are the daily case numbers and the hospitalizations and the recoveries and that. Never in recent Western history has our lives depended upon about what the leader says on a daily basis, what the dictator decrees.
The guy's got too much power. That's the long and short of it, isn't it? To be honest.
I mean,
and he's been given it as well. I mean, when they voted for extending his powers, was it the Greens and Fiona Patten and
Andy Medicare,
the Animal Justice Party? Yeah. Oh,
I know that Bernie Finn, Maverick Liberal MLC, calls Fiona Patten leader of the Treason Party now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. She, do you know what? I listened to her on, I think it was Neil Mitchell one morning, and she really talked it up. I thought she's on side. She's not going to vote for that. She said she wasn't going to vote for it, but she just rolled over in the end, and she went.
She said she wouldn't vote for the 12-month universal
6 months. I think 6 months. I mean, 6 months. My God, that's a long time.
And now she said because there's the omnibus emergency measures bill before the Parliament, which would allow probably Dan Andrews, but it's. We know that he makes the decisions, but it allows the state government to appoint anyone, an authorised officer, to detain anyone for an indefinite period of time if there's a belief that they won't comply. You could spread it.
Shame they didn't go into the Afghan cluster and bang all those up, isn't it, really?
I think in that one instance, Dan Andrews discovered that people aren't going to come forward with information if they're constantly threatened.
Oh my goodness, is that not that goes for every Victorian, doesn't it?
Yeah, but he only learnt in that one circumstance
Yeah,
that the big
wow, yeah,
stick threatening approach doesn't work.
yeah, quite amazing that, yeah.
Because he said that contact tracing information is worth way more than $1,652 fines.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what to say about that, to be honest with you. I think
Oh,
it's a
it's just
crock
the
of shit.
continuing
Yeah.
double standards.
Double
Because
standards. It's just bullshit. It's just different rules for different people, and it's always been like that in Melbourne ever since he's been elected. Unfortunately.
and now with his new roadmap out of lockdown, outdoor activity is encouraged, even though we're allowed 2 hours outside at the moment for exercise.
Until 9 o'clock as well, though. We can stay until 9 o'clock, Tim. How good's that?
Yeah, so you only just discovered recently that the virus is less transmissible outdoors.
That's right. It hides in the dark. Yeah, quite remarkable.
Yeah, and this is the thing. It's so obvious that it's just been it's all governments, Australian governments, have been making it up as they go along. These restrictions.
Yeah, and what is good to see at the moment, you're seeing a lot of doctors and professors and people who are actually speaking up about it now, saying this is not the way to go. It's more and more academics are actually speaking up about it as well, not just the man on the street, but academics and health professionals and professors. They're calling them out because it's just not working.
Charlie Brown, AU on Entropy, has asked, why don't the pro-freedom right-wing Christians just pack up and leave diversity-infected cities en masse? Well, we can't leave at the moment.
I can only go 5Ks down the road.
Melbourne is the new East Berlin.
My word, isn't it?
Checkpoint Charlies all around Melbourne.
Yeah.
Apparently, the Checkpoint Charlies they don't operate when it rains.
I've actually got a tunnel. I'm digging a tunnel in my garden at the moment, Tim. So I'm sort of like at the 2K mark.
Though the thing is, as I've said previously, the difference between Melbourne and East Berlin is when the East Berliners fled to the west, they were welcomed, where none of the rest of Australia wants any Melburnians. The leper colony.
They've believed all the hype. Yeah, we're just unclean and not very nice people. Super spreaders.
I just wonder the people in other states who've still got Victorian licenses and registration plates. You wonder if there's calls going to their snitch line saying, "I just noticed a Victorian car in the car park. Can you look into it?"
Yeah, I dare say that's going on, isn't it? Surely it must be. It must be.
I haven't heard.
Sad, but it must be going on.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any first-hand information from it, but it's just sort of something that you sort of think might happen.
Yeah, I dare say it's happening without a shadow of a doubt. There's some people out there just are scared. I think that's what it is. They're really scared. They've believed all the hype.
Now, despite the fact that Dan Andrews blamed families getting together for spreading the virus and contributing to the second wave, isn't it? It's quite typical of communists to disparage families.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely it is, Tim. Yeah.
But the reason why the second wave daily cases grew so exponentially was because of workplace transmissions, essential workplaces, or as they're called now, permitted workplaces, because under stage 4 now you can only work if you're a permitted worker, operate if you're a permitted workplace, and that is where the virus was being spread in distribution warehouses, abattoirs, and Of course, the most catastrophic was in aged care facilities with staff, infected staff, bringing the virus in. And we learnt that at the same time when we were all legally forced to wear masks, that was at the same time when aged care facilities were forced to wear PPE.
Yeah, they certainly didn't look after the elderly in the care homes. That's for sure. I mean, that's quite horrendous. I know. If in a workplace, if you are deemed to have caused a death, it's punishable by prison. Well, what Andrews has done, his failures, has caused the same result in the end, and not just a little result. It's up to nearly almost 800 people. Well, somebody needs to be accountable for that. At the moment, they're all ducking for cover. Obviously, they've all got amnesia in this. And this hearing is going on at the moment. No one's admitting to anything. It's actually quite perverse, to be honest with you.
It's correctly described as the Sergeant Schultz inquiry. They all get up and say, "I know nothing about how that decision was made."
Amnesia. It's just quite incredible. No one knows anything. They can't remember. I mean, far out. I think I only heard briefly on the news that they dug up some emails and some letters sent from Morrison to Andrews insisting that he uses the ADF.
Yeah, this was during the second wave because.
Before that, I think it was. So it's I only heard the tail end of it. So there's lots of ammunition to string Dan Andrews up really, but. See what happens. He seems
but that's all just a right-wing Murdoch hit job conspiracy. I stand with Dan. Thanks, Dan. Dan for PM.
Oh yeah, Teflon Dan. He, some of the stuff that he's got up to over the years, even the bloody red shirt, walk that went on. It's like just didn't want to get involved in that. He walked away from that nice and clean.
The New South Wales Premier in 2014, Barry O'Farrell, resigned over a bottle of wine that he couldn't remember receiving when he was testifying before ICAC.
That's amazing. Yeah, he resigned over a bottle of wine. Dan Andrews has led a failed government. It's resulted in 800 elderly dying.
And that's not including the mental health death toll as well.
I just the decimation of the economy as well. I just hate to imagine what that's going to,
and that will have a much more longer lasting effect on the city of Melbourne than the coronavirus.
It's interesting. I went into the city a couple of days ago, and you see all these the coffee shops that are closed down. All these hipster coffee shops up in Brunswick, and they're Dan Andrews' big supporters. So it'd be interesting to see what their take is on it.
Yeah, it's been incredible. These I Stand With Dan cultists. They just defend not just everything he does, but everything that his enforcers do, even though the enforcers later admit that they got it wrong. Like, for example, I even saw I Stand With Dan cultists defending that Victoria police officer kicking that mentally ill man in the head, even though Victoria police said he'd been stood down, and they're referring it and the car hitting to IBAC, the broad-based anti-corruption.
If I did anything like that at work, if I did whatever, I would be sacked on the spot, not on full pay. I would be sacked. You can't just stomp on somebody's head.
But remember, these were the same people 3 months ago who were demanding Victoria Police be defunded. Now they're defending Victoria Police arresting all these anti-lockdown protesters, charging the organisers with incitement. They can't get enough of Victoria Police a strong arm action.
Yeah, these bloody clowns, these lefties, they don't know what they want. They change every bloody day. They got no real take on reality, to be honest with you. Absolute morons.
They must stop and think. Well, you think that they must stop and think.
I don't think they do think. That's the problem, though, Tim. They don't think. They're just clueless.
And now they're claiming that, Dan Andrews' strategy worked. It's like...
Of course it does. If you're locking somebody up 23 hours a day, you are going to have less cases. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, but don't worry about, everyone else suffering.
Yeah, even though Victoria is the only state that had a second wave.
Yeah, there's a reason why. They had a second wave. Yeah, Dan Andrews failed. Yeah, big time.
Yeah, and it's like it's basically I did a good job repairing all the mess that I caused.
Yeah. Apart from the economy and people's mental health.
Now let's talk about when COVID entered your household. Your daughter, she had a positive test. She contracted it from her workplace. What was the lead up to when her having a coronavirus test? Did she have symptoms?
No. She just had to have a test. Just a protocol at work, and that was on the Saturday or the Sunday, I think. And then I had the phone call when I was at work on the Monday mid-morning. She was in tears, saying that she tested positive to COVID. And it's quite funny, actually. I was at work somewhere, I won't say where, and the couple of chicks that are working on, in reception. They sort of like moved away and sort of like went into a different room and said that you got to leave. Anyway, obviously I left it. I had a phone call from the infectious disease Melbourne. I had to go and get tested and go straight home. Yeah, but she was fine. She was absolutely fine. She had no real symptoms. She had a bit of an upset stomach, but that was pretty much it, really. I think mentally it was torture because she had to be locked away in a bedroom for 14 days. We had to be locked away in a house for 14 days, not being allowed to leave. That was torture. You'd get a knock on the door every day from the DHHS and the army, which was that was okay. It was somebody to talk to. But it was challenging.
So, I mean, explain sort of how it worked, because you yourself tested negative, but obviously having a positive case in the household. So, like, how? I'm just interested in logistics of like how did you bring her food? How
So she basically had to live in her bedroom. She wasn't allowed really to leave the bedroom. Luckily, she's got a bathroom in there and everything. So dinner times we would have to knock on the door, with a tray and run away. She'd come out, grab her dinner, and then so on and so forth. But it was quite remarkable because I would have put all the money in the world that I had COVID, just for the fact that living in a family unit, you sort of give your daughter a hug every night, and you wrestle and you drink out the same glasses, just sort of family stuff. So something as contagious as that, I didn't actually catch it, nor did my wife. So it was, that was a shock to us both, because we both said, how have we not caught this? Anyway, she got tested again, and she definitely had it. And we got tested day 11 again, and we still didn't have it. And then after 14 days, I think day 15, we were allowed to leave. But it was interesting.
How long did it take for the results to get back?
Well, her results were sort of like 36 hours. I think mine was about the same, 36 hours. Yeah, roughly, just over a day, 36 hours. And you get, what happens is you get a text message saying you're, positive or negative. Anyway, we got one saying we were obviously negative, and then every day you get an email, a text message saying you have to self-isolate, not allowed to leave your home. If you do, you get a $1,600 fine, and then you just answer questions on your health. Are you feeling okay?
Was that at the time when it, because they increased the penalty for breaching?
Yeah, they did. Well, originally, if you were COVID positive, originally you were allowed to go out for a walk. You weren't allowed to go to shops or whatever. You were allowed to go, do exercise, go for a jog or whatever. But they stopped that a few weeks or a week or so before we got it in our family. So we were not allowed to leave. Yeah, you could go out in the garden, but that was the limitations. I actually ran up and down my driveway every day. I used to do 10Ks almost up and down my driveway every day. Yeah.
The most exciting outing you could get at the time.
People were walking past thinking, "Oh my God, what is this clown doing?" I was literally just pacing and jogging up and down the driveway. It was, like I say, it was pretty cool when the HSS or the army would knock on your door to make sure you're quarantining, because it would just give you somebody to talk to. That's how good life was. Exciting.
And obviously, you would have seen the contact tracing firsthand. So obviously, you mentioned you were at work when you got the call that your daughter had tested positive. Did people at your work have to get tested? Were they contacted by DHS?
No, because at the time I wasn't positive. They only follow up on that if you are positive. I wasn't positive, so there was not much to happen.
But you could have been positive.
If I would have tested positive, then that's a different ballgame.
What was the lag time for when you last started? You were last working, and then you tested negative.
Sorry, say that again. Sorry, Tim.
When you were last at work, when you got the call, and when your test came back negative, because obviously you isolated immediately after your daughter.
Yeah. So like I say, I got tested on a Monday, late morning, and I think I got my result, Tuesday evening or Wednesday morning. I can't honestly remember now. But I was not at work. I had to stay at home until I got that result. But even then, I had to remain in isolation for 14 days. Yeah.
And your daughter's close contacts. How was
it?
They
all had to get tested, and there was a few of those that there was over a couple of chicks. They tested positive as well.
So it sounded like, at least in your family and in your area, the contact traces, the quarantine checkups were thorough.
Yeah, that's right. And I've got no issues with that. I mean, if they would have done the right thing in the first place, we wouldn't be where we are today. I'm all for it. If you got something, you need to be, not locked away in your house, but you need to be, just isolating in your house, away from everyone. It's pretty simple, isn't it? Surely. Just like if you got the flu, you shouldn't be walking out coughing and sneezing all over everyone. You should just be in your own house. It's common sense, common decency.
Now, the Australian Defence Force, they were finally helping with the isolation checks at that time. Yeah. We remember that in early July, the Andrews government put in an order for Defence Force personnel, then they withdrew it.
They were the next day, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then they finally.
Next day,
So you just wonder, is it hubris that Dan the man thinks he can do it all himself?
Oh, I just think he's he thinks he's a warrior. It's all about that. It's all about Dan. That is the problem. It's all about him. It's all about him. It really is.
But we heard in the lead up to the ADF assisting with the checkups, how they Victoria Police and DHS, they weren't keeping up with checking to people that people were self-isolating, and there were anecdotal reports that some people weren't at home when they were supposed to be isolating, and apparently one of them had gone to work while positive. And that's when we were getting 300-400 up to 600 cases per day. I think it was around about when stage 4 had just started, and we were just sort of
It just come in, it really ramped up then.
and we
it
just sort of
yeah.
thought at the time we're never going to get out of this. There'd be like it was basically like a roller coaster at the time. 300 today, that doesn't seem too bad. 600 the next day.
707 the following day. Yeah. I mean, it was jumping up. That's for sure. Yeah, it jumped up.
Even now, it's still jumping around.
But there was more. There's lots more. There was 30,000 tests being done a day. I think there's I think there was 11,000 on Sunday or Monday.
Still egging down to go into stage 4, and as soon as we got into stage 4, they were hypothesizing, what could stage 5 look like?
Yeah, I mean but that's the media for you. They love fanning the flames, don't they? They love a big story.
And of course they're always going to be deemed essential workers. Fake news is always essential, or should I say
big business.
Parroting government propaganda is always essential business.
Yeah, pushing it, absolutely.
So as you said, your daughter hardly had any symptoms, so I assume she's made a full recovery now.
Fine. She's absolutely fine.
And she hasn't, as Dan Andrews has warned young people, as far as you know, none of her internal organs have been crippled for life.
No. Thankfully, touch wood, she's all fit and well, and up and about, out jogging, and living life. Well, trying to live life.
But as you said, the mental health toll was greater on her for being locked in a room for that time.
Well, it's like being in prison, let's be honest. I think if you're in prison, you probably get more leeway. You're locked in a bedroom with a toilet 24 hours a day. She did go out into the garden. What we had to do, we had to go to another part of the house so she could walk through in her mask and gloves and go out into the garden, get some sunshine, and then disappear back into her bedroom. But that was as good as it got for her, poor thing.
Has COVID being in your household, has it changed your views on the virus and the associated lockdowns at all?
Yeah, I think it has. I think it definitely has. In the early days, not right in the early days, but it's like May time. You look at what's going on, and you fall into the trap and thinking it's the worst thing to ever happen to us. It's up there with Ebola because that's the way it's being portrayed. Well, the reality is when it is in your household and people that have had it and you've spoken to people, it's it can do a bit of damage to some people, namely elderly or people who are compromised. Got a health is compromised. It's it can do them some damage. So. We're aware of that, but I think you've got to look after those people. You can't close an economy. You might need to be a little bit sensible, but you can't eradicate it. You have to live with it, and most importantly, you got to live your life. You're a long time dead. You got to live your life. Yeah, I listened to an old woman phone up the other day, and she was again on Neil Mitchell. She was about, I think she said she was 74. She said she's been locked up since March time. And she said, these are my final years. She said, and, I want to go out and about and see my friends and go, play lawn bowls and I'm locked up. Yeah. It's, she said, this isn't living. You're killing me. And that's exactly right. It's killing people.
And it's interesting that many of the arrests at these anti-lockdown protests have been senior citizens who are told that this virus is going to be a death sentence to you, yet they're the ones getting handcuffed by the police.
Listen, I've never seen anything like this in all my life. Just people going around. Even they're socially distanced. They got masks on. They're going for a walk or whatever. And they get arrested, and it's not just it's heavy-handed as well. Like the old two ladies sat on a bench, and the police snatched the phone off of her, and they handcuffed these old ladies. And you think, you for real? It's actually bullshit. It really is bullshit. I've never witnessed anything like that. That is what happens in China, in Hong Kong. That's what happens, and we're in Victoria. Oh,
I mean, who are we really to criticise China on human rights?
Well, that's exactly right. You cannot. We're no different from China. We're really not. fuck me, the abuse that people are suffering at the moment is absolutely hideous.
And,
Pregnant women.
Well, we'll talk about Zoe Buhler, who was the pregnant Ballarat mother who was arrested, charged, and handcuffed for incitement for wanting to organise an anti-lockdown protest in her hometown of Ballarat on that September 5 Freedom Day. And there was a number of other prominent anti-lockdown activists who were charged with incitement that week, such as Fenos Panias, Anthony Kalouf, and James Bartolo. And there's been a lot of legal commentary about whether this incitement to commit a crime can be applied to emergency health directives, given, well, incitement normally is people are charged with inciting others to commit like a serious offence, like, you know, murder or terrorism.
That's exactly right. Going out in a mask and socially distance, is that really, does that fall under the same thing?
But probably what disturbed most people was that she was handcuffed by the police officers there. I don't know what sort of threat she was posing. She obviously looked like she was quite confused and distressed. So I don't know where you would then escalate things and handcuff her.
Yeah, I think that was all about trying to portray to other people. I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
they were just coming down. You know, look, you know, if you step out of line, we're going to arrest you, and this is what's going to happen to you. Listen, I got arrested at the Milo event. Obviously, we know about that.
You got one of those. What is it? Police
visit.
Yes. Were you handcuffed?
No, they came around my house and knocked on the door, and they were very friendly. And could we come in? They had a warrant anyway, but they asked, and they come in, and then I actually funny thing was, I went to the police station. I drove my own car down there. They said, just follow us down. I actually drove in my own car to the police station to answer questions. This chick has just posted something on Facebook, and she gets handcuffed and taken away. Madness.
And even Neil Erikson, when the police charged him over the Milo brawl, they didn't handcuff him. He retold the story on one of his Senator Slayer live streams. He was just having a smoke out the front in the morning, and the police rocked up and said, "Hey, Erikson, you know, we've got warrant here, and we need to look at that." Most of the execution of these warrants and questioning, they're not like the movies.
No, definitely not.
And it seemed to be that Zoe Buhler's arrest and handcuffing, it was more like the movies.
I think it was all about the shock and awe, and I think they're just coming down heavy, and it's like you say, it's maybe they're taking a leaf out the communist regime. They really are, aren't they? What's the difference?
Yeah. Of course, Dan Andrews, he's refused to be drawn about to comment on the conduct of Victoria Police. He said, "I'm not in the business of criticising Victoria Police."
He's good at deflecting. He's good at deflecting questions. Was it last night before? There's a Channel 7 report from Sydney. Sydney Hitchcock. He asked the question 3 times? Did you see that?
I've heard about it. You can retell it for the audience.
And he asked him, and Andrews was just there deflecting it, and he said, "Answer the question. I've asked you 3 times." You know, unbelievable. But Andrews doesn't like to ask any hard questions, only the easy ones.
Or he deflects that, saying, "Oh, it's not my place."
Well, he deflects it. Yeah, that's right. He's definitely Teflon down, and he likes deflecting. Puts it on to somebody else.
We've got another question here on entropy from Bieber Anti-Bullying. Is it anti-Semitic to blame Martin McCullough for hiring the dodgy security and causing the outbreak because he's Jewish, and Jews have been accused many times throughout history of spreading plague. Well, Martin Bakula today, I think he said that it wasn't his decision to hire the security guards.
I don't think anyone's owned up to that, have they? No one knows who put them in charge, do they?
Yeah, Dan appears on Friday afternoon at 2:15 p.m. Before the judicial inquiry. Jenny Mikakos, she is appearing tomorrow. Both Martin Bakula's Department of Jobs, and Jenny Mikakos' Department of Health and Human Services, they're all blaming each other, saying, well, it was their job to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always somebody else's fault, isn't it? Yeah. I can see this ending with no outcome. This will just get covered up. I'm pretty confident by that.
Well, as we've known,
when you got police commissioners and everyone who's been interrogated and they've all got amnesia, how can you prove it in the end?
I remember there was a Chaser sketch many years back about Royal Commissions. How they had this product, the Mega Memory Loss Kit, that you take it before you testified before a Royal Commission on an inquiry, and then you could just say, I can't recall, not to my knowledge, not in my presence. I think the record for the amount of I can't recalls is, former Liberal Senator and former John Howard Chief of Staff, Arthur Zinadinos. He said, I can't recall 80 times, because he was being asked about donations from Australian Water Holdings to the New South Wales Liberal Party. He was the chairman of Australian Water Holdings, and he was also the New South Wales Treasurer of the Liberal Party. So the company that he's a chairman of is giving donations to the New South Wales Liberal Party. He's in both positions, but he said, I can't recall 80 times.
Yeah, that's quite remarkable. But to get out of jail card, isn't it?
Yeah, well, ICAC didn't find didn't give a finding of corruption against him, so he was.
That's what I mean. It's to get out of jail card, and they're all using it.
Return to the ministry. I use that a lot in just my everyday language now. If someone's asked me about something, I just say, no, I can't recall, not to my knowledge. I'm using it in a sarcastic way.
I actually might start using that one myself. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to play it as a drinking game when you're watching Dan's testimony on Friday.
Probably end up launching a beer bottle at the TV.
Oh well, that's when you've got the other Dan who actually does deliver, Dan Murphy. I'm sure you've seen that memes. I wonder if Dan Murphy's might actually change their name after this Victoria's.
I tell you what, now there's somebody who's made some money in lockdown. Yeah, Dan Murphy's bottle shops. Yeah,
they've delivered hundreds of daily cases.
Yeah, quite literally, yeah.
So, as I said in my introduction, Dan Andrews has said, I might, ease some extra restrictions on Sunday, but don't know yet because we've got ongoing meetings and blah, blah, blah. Do you have... is it worth making any predictions? Will we get to have our haircut, or?
Well, I do know for a fact when he did that deal with the Animal Justice Party, they made him, and he released a statement last week that dogs can get groomed as from the 28th. So you can't get your haircut, I can't get my haircut, but you can take your dog to go and get groomed. How's that?
Yeah, well, the dogs don't get the coronavirus, contrary to what some early fake news reports.
They did say that, didn't they? I remember that. Yeah, they did say that. There's an outside chance your dog could get it. Yeah.
What was the latest story about how the coronavirus could be transmitted through farts, silent but deadly?
Oh, yeah. Who comes up with that? Yeah, it comes out with that. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Now we've
talked predictions for his. So, what predictions have you got then, Tim, for the 28th?
Well, is it would you say is it too preemptive or too outlandish to say that he'll lift the curfew in the 5 kilometre radius?
I don't think he'll do that. Nah, I don't think he'll do that.
Even though his curfew is being challenged before the courts.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I reckon he'll cave in and open that just before. Because what date does that actually go to court? You know,
next week.
It is next week. Well, listen, it could do. Yeah, I mean that's probably a fair call actually. He could lift a curfew, and I reckon he could do that. You know, because if everything's closed down anyway, well, you know, what's people going to do at night time? It's not really.
And it'll be 2 days after his appearance at the judicial inquiry.
Yeah. He's not going to give much away, is he? Let's be honest. But yeah, there's an outside chance he could lift the night curfew. You know, because you know we know that's a crock of shit and nothing. Doesn't come out at night time. You know.
Yeah, in the UK, apparently the virus comes out after 10 p.m. because that's the new curfew for the hospitality industry.
Yeah, closes. They close. They close at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, apparently if you have a cold beer at a pub at 10:01 p.m. in the UK, could get coronavirus from it.
You are doomed. Yeah, you are. Yeah.
But
not quite sure what's going to happen there.
Yeah, we've been talking about the other unaccounted deaths from the lockdown, which aren't included in Dan Andrews' daily press briefing. We've had quite a tragic outcome, which can be attributed to the curfew and social distancing to some degree, even though we don't know all the facts. And this is I'll bring it up here in a moment. This is just broken late this afternoon. This is the. Hang on, I'll get it in a moment. You say something while I'm bringing this up.
Yeah, okay. I think I know what you're talking about, and I think that can. That's really sad. Yeah, I won't mention anything until you bring it up. I can't actually see the screen itself. I can see your picture.
I should be able to see it now. Yeah, this is the death of this 14-year-old autistic boy, William Wall, who went missing yesterday after going for a walk. His body was found this afternoon, and police launched an air and ground search with 100 police, but they declined the help of dozens of local residents. They claimed that they had enough resources for the job and asked volunteers to spread the word on social media instead. And there was a lot of talk that people who would normally go out to find him were worried about breaching curfew, getting the $1,652 fine, even though where he was missing, Warburton in the Yarra Ranges, had no coronavirus cases, and there has all the recent cases of autistic children going missing while walking. They've been found, and it just so happens that when Melbourne is still under basic stage 4 lockdown, because people aren't free to do their own searching, this boy is now dead. It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah. Oh, listen, it is sad. And I mean, like the other autistic lad, I think it was probably, was it the end of last year? He went missing and he was found after, I think, 48 hours. But there was hundreds and hundreds of people out there looking for him. And this wasn't allowed this time. I mean, hundreds of people on the ground foraging through, acres and acres. That could have made all the difference. I mean, far out, make some exceptions for goodness sake. I mean, this was a poor lad, and and
Dan Andrews was asked today about it, and he said, Victoria Police can answer those questions. I wonder what he'll say tomorrow.
Of course, he would deflect it. He'd say,
and you wonder if something like this is going to be
lip service.
Yeah, you wonder if something like this is going to be the trigger point that because the search was hindered because of the lockdown, whether this is going to be the trigger point for him to lift the curfew and some other measures.
Oh, I don't think so. He doesn't think like that, and he doesn't
Yeah, I
operate like
know.
that. Yeah, so I don't think so at all.
Yeah. I mean, his initial reaction to that mentally ill man getting stomped on by Victoria Police was none of this would be necessary if people didn't protest, even though it had nothing to do with the protest. He
Yeah,
couldn't get a
no,
mental health bed.
he had an episode. He had a mental health issue, and apparently that was the first issue like that he'd had in a long time. I mean, was it coincidental that we've been in a hard lockdown?
Yeah.
Did that tip him over the edge?
Mm.
You know, it's
And people are reporting from emergency wards now that there's more people presenting with mental health issues, but those with the sniffles still get priority treatment.
What we are going to be seeing in months and months to come is obviously elective surgery, but people going for tests like cancer tests, mammograms, prostate cancer, etc. They're not getting checked up. Mouth cancer is not getting. We're going to see an epidemic of cancers in the coming months.
Under stage 4, you can't go to the dentist for a routine checkup unless it's for an emergency, like you've got a tooth chipped or something.
Madness. Yeah, I've had my dentist cancelled twice. It's seriously, come on. It's dentists wear masks. They wear gloves.
Yeah. Even though there's been no case anywhere that I know of coronavirus outbreak at a dental practice.
Yeah, and it won't happen. They're the most hygienic places you can possibly go, I think, aren't they?
Yeah, because the mouth is, well, dentists know more than anyone that the mouth is the most filthy.
They have that much PPE on. They have a mask. They have a visor on. They have glasses. They have gloves. They have bloody disinfectants. Everything's swabbed. It's hello.
Yeah, because the mouth is the most filthiest part of your body.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why they garb up and everything. It's a joke.
Mm. Well, let's turn to your place of birth, the UK, which seems to be following the Melbourne model. As well, a lot of people when they around the world when they heard of Melbourne's strict lockdown, they predicted that it'd be a model for the rest of the world, and it looks like. Boris Johnson, he's completely captive to the UK technocrats. I mean, if you think we're a nanny state, the UK is worse.
Oh, that's the thing with the UK. It's been splintered and bitter for a long time.
So he announced these in the House of Commons on Tuesday, and also did an address to the nation later that evening. So the new restrictions are office workers to work from home again where possible, although those in key public services and in professions where it's not possible, such as construction, retail, should continue to attend their workplace as well. Even in between Victoria's first and second wave, the work from home where possible, that was always in place. I know Stefanos, Australian Meditations, he's worked from home since the beginning of the pandemic. He'll be up on Senator Slayer's. He's doing another stream tonight, just in a couple of minutes.
He is.
From Thursday, all pubs, bars, restaurants must offer table service only, which basically means, well, this is what we had when the pubs were open in Victoria. You had to be seated down. The waiters and waitresses came to you to collect your order, and you paid by a contactless tap and go, and they brought the stuff to you. They all must close at 10 p.m, but delivery services can remain open. Does that mean you can get, was it Uber Eats at 11 p.m?
Yeah, exactly the same as what we're getting here. We can get our food delivered and so on and so forth. But listen, the UK, they did have a total closure, in the first wave where pubs and bars and everything did close down.
But it seems like a distant memory now.
It does.
Compared to what our Victoria Police is doing. But the UK Police, they were very overzealous in, patrolling apartment complexes to see people social distancing, telling people off, laying in their front garden on their private properties.
Well, I know in my hometown, it was only 2 weeks ago, actually, a young lad, 17, 18, he had a party when his parents were away. And I think you were allowed a gathering of about 30 people. I think, I'm not sure the exact numbers.
It's been
Anyway,
reduced to... Yeah.
it was about 30, I think. This is like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And he had a load of gate crashes there. The neighbours dobbed him in. He actually got a £10,000 fine. It was the highest fine that anyone's ever had in the UK for having a house party. £10,000,
which is around 20,000 Australian
dollars.
dollars.
No, not quite. It's probably about $16,000, I think. Yeah, but it's a huge fine.
Yeah, they operate the UK on basically a sliding scale. That first offence, well, it used to be £100 fine. Now it's been up to 200. They have the same fine for not wearing a face covering and breaching lockdown orders, where in Victoria, the fine for breaching lockdown is $1,652, but the fine for not wearing a face covering is $200. So, but in the UK, they've just got the universal fine. Had he gotten a fine before, that lad that you knew?
Yeah, listen, I'm not sure. I don't think so. I don't know. I think again they just probably went to try to set a precedent there. What is interesting? You just say about obviously over here, you can get a $1,602 fine, whatever. How much do you get fined for talking on the phone in the car?
It's about 300 or 400 or something.
Yeah, but if you don't have a mask on, you can get fined 1,600. Yeah, amazing.
So COVID secure guidelines will become a legal obligation for retail, leisure and tourism firms. Those who do not comply run the risk of fines of up to £10,000 or closure. Or what is it? We call them here COVID safe plans.
Yeah.
One of the new buzzwords of 2020, COVID safe.
Well, that's like furlough. I never even understood what a furlough was until, furlough payment. Yeah. Which is basically a JobKeeper.
Yeah, which now there's going to be, that's the next thing that the UK Parliament has to decide, the extension of the furlough scheme. The Morrison government here, they've been adamant that JobKeeper will end in March next year, and it will be cut again in January, which I think is basically, it's an ultimatum to the states. You're not paying for the lockdowns you're imposing. We're not going to subsidise your closures beyond March next year, which I think is the appropriate.
Yeah. So I missed that. Tim, you broke up a bit there.
I'll move on to the next one. From Monday, a maximum of 15 people will be allowed to attend weddings, but 30 can still go to a funeral. Well, that's a bit more than Victoria at the moment, where it's actually illegal to get married.
Yeah.
That's the marriage equality we have in Melbourne at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
The rule of six has been extended to indoor sports, such as five-a-side football games. Does that mean five-a-side?
So you play indoor soccer, it's called five-a-side, so it's 10 of you playing sort of thing, yeah.
The phased reopening of stadiums for sporting events from 1st of October has been scrapped. So, well, if the Premier League lasts...
Premier League behind closed doors again.
Because... Well, it's not surprising that cases are now rising in the UK as it comes out of summer, and we all know that...
well, it seems to be, doesn't it? It doesn't like the heat, does it?
Yeah.
Apparently. And it sort of like makes sense. If you look at trends around the world, that seems to be, what happens.
Yeah, and speaking to MPs, the Prime Minister warned the new measures could last 6 months. And he's also warned that because it's around about 4,000 daily case numbers at the moment, UK-wide, he could go further because this applies nationwide, but local full lockdowns are going to be decided at the local level. Nicola Sturgeon.
Well, they've always happened. They've been happening for a long time. I think Newcastle's been in a lockdown at different times, and Leicester's been in
so has Bolton. Lancashire.
It's quite funny. Some of the places we just listed there, they got large populations of ethnics. So I don't know if it's the language barrier, or they're not following rules, or what it is.
Well, I've noticed the same thing in Melbourne, that the
Yeah.
hotspot areas, the areas that were locked down,
Absolutely.
were the more diverse ones. What is
Is
it?
it
Yeah.
is it because there's a language barrier, or is it because they just don't give a shit?
Or the police don't want to be accused of being racist by enforcing.
Well, they certainly let them get away with lots of things. I remember, and you probably remember this. It was June, July time. They had a big Islamic wedding in Broadmeadows, and that was when you were only allowed, I think, 10 people or whatever. But they had like 150 people there. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, and not one person got fined or anything.
Yeah,
Oh
neither did any of those 5 households in that Afghani
Afghan.
cluster
No, that's
in the city of
that's
Casey. And Brett
protected.
Sutton, the chief health officer, said sorry for naming the ethnicity of the households.
He didn't just apologise. He grovelled. He apologised several times. My God,
apologised in their
embarrassing,
language.
Yeah, and he did do it in their language. Yeah, and then and he told everyone how good it was, and how good he was when he went to Afghanistan. Oh God, what a load of nonsense! Different rules for different people.
I wrote an article on the Unshackled, it was a week and a half ago now, noticing that the UK was following the Melbourne model, and yeah, it looks like their Christmas will be cancelled. Well, it'll be illegal to celebrate Christmas with family members not in your household.
Yeah, I mean, how sad is that? I mean, that is a time when people really will neck themselves, especially people out on their own.
But the thing is, even though the cases are rising, the deaths are not at the levels, at least at the moment, that they were back in March.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a lag time. I know there's obviously a lag time, but how long that lag time is, or is it because the elderly or the most vulnerable have all been killed off now? I don't know.
Well, we've still got that lag of those in aged care dying here in Victoria, which is still
there's always
tragic.
About 2 or 3 weeks, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, it is tragic. It's terrible.
Though we've heard some of the stories of survival now, because coronavirus is not a death sentence for people over the age of 70. There's a 95-year-old who survived in Melbourne, and
there's 100. There's a chap. There's 100. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So which is it's amazing, and you sort of think that wow, that's. They must feel like, I'm going to live another 10 years after this.
Well, that's exactly right. What is interesting is that they list, and I would love to know accurately, the people that do die. Most of them don't actually die of COVID; they die with COVID.
Yes, exactly.
It's and I find that quite staggering. It's what I don't understand why they list it like that. Be honest and upfront. It's that's bullshit.
But it's obviously the UK and the technocrats, the government medical.
But it's a worldwide thing. It's a worldwide thing. Everyone lists it the same way, and I don't understand why. People terminal lung cancer, but they died of COVID. Hello, it's remarkable.
But it's clearly not about flattening the curve anymore. It's about either extreme suppression or elimination, because Boris Johnson is making these decisions based on testing numbers. Positive test results.
Yeah. But as we know, most people, they test positive and they just 2 weeks later they're back to doing what they do. It's
And as I mentioned, 20,000 Victorians have tested positive for coronavirus, but that's just the ones who've had the test. I mean, we don't know. Well, Brett Sutton admitted that asymptomatic people who undergo a coronavirus test may not test positive.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah, and how many people? Yeah, like you say, that so many people out there probably have had it and they haven't got tested and they've just carried on as normal. You know, like you do if you get a cold. You know, most people just carry on as per normal. It's yeah.
Well, I think we're in a much better position now to have a, you know, as we're told, COVID normal Christmas than your native Britain.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a sad time.
But a lot of people are speculating because they're 7 out of the 8 Australian territories have agreed to tear down their borders by Christmas. We're all wondering whether there'll be the mass Vic
Exodus.
Yeah. Because do you really want to, if there's no vaccine, do you really want to risk another winter in Melbourne?
Yeah, well, that's a good point as well. Did WA, did they actually sign up to that as well? Or was he
No, they didn't. Mark McGowan is going to, it looks like he'll keep the hard border up until March 2021, which just happens to be when the next WA state election is.
Yeah, that's absolutely staggering, isn't it?
Anastasia Palaszczuk, after her heartless and cruel border decisions, she's created a 10 LGA bubble with northern New South Wales now. So
I see that. Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, which is common sense.
Yeah, of course it is.
And South Australia has opened its border now with New South Wales as well.
Yeah, I see New South Wales. They've opened their, well, I think, aren't they opening their borders with a lot of country Victoria now? Joining over the water. I think they've got a free movement, haven't they? Or they're bringing it in from Victoria into New South Wales. You know, all the border towns. I think they're relaxing that somewhat.
Well, Gladys Berejiklian has indicated, given regional Victoria, they're down to less than 2 on their 14-day rolling average. That she wants to open the border as soon as possible. So, if you're in regional Victoria, you'll be able to soon cross into New South Wales without Neil's mate Jared Seaby. He said even after his initial arrest for crossing into Wodonga's sister city Albury in New South Wales, he still gets into trouble at the border checkpoint. He's on Neil's show right now. He was on last night.
I might jump on there after you, Tim.
Yeah. There was grief apparently because one of his son's border permits had expired.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, they did expire, didn't they? So you got to print off a new one. Yeah, I had to get a new one the other day, actually. Yeah.
And well, because we've got the permitted worker scheme that expires again on September 27th. So Dan Andrews is going to announce on the Sunday whether the permitted worker scheme will continue the next day and whether we'll have to print off new paperwork.
Yeah, I should imagine we'd have to. You'd have to, because otherwise anyone can say they're going to work. Anyone could say they're a tradesperson or an essential
Well, they could
worker.
during the first lockdown. It was only during the stage 4 that he introduced their permitted worker scheme. He said the reason, also there's no anxiety when you're pulled over.
Yeah, okay, yeah. No, it's going to be interesting. I can't really see too much. I don't think he's going to give us too much, that's for sure. He's going to cling on to that power and that stick and that carrot.
Well, we all fingers crossed that eventually his demise is sooner rather than later.
Do you reckon he's going to see in another term, or what's he going to do? Is he going to fall on his sword? Is he going to get sacked?
Well, he might do the thing, spend more time with my family who I haven't seen because of coronavirus.
Yeah, listen, I can see that's going to happen. I reckon that could happen.
Because that's always the official non-controversy reason for politicians.
It's an easy option, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's an easy option. Yeah, I did hear someone say, and I don't know whether it's true or not, that his wife and children are up in Queensland.
I've heard that rumor.
Yeah, that was a rumor going around.
Given a lot of the threats that have been circulating around against him. Obviously, the vitriol on social media is intensifying against him. So you'd have to, you'd think that would have an impact on him as well. I mean, even the Washington Post, that Trump deranged US newspaper, is calling him Dictator Dan.
Well, it's funny, I was speaking to the people in the UK, friends and everything, and they're very aware of Dictator Dan. He's obviously got a reputation around the world.
Yeah, I mean, surely that would get to him. Do you really want to be known as the only dictator in the Western world?
Yeah. I think he embraces it. I think he loves it. It's just he just loves that totalitarian power. That's the sort of bloke he is. I think he was bullied at school, so I think he's just it's his payback.
Perhaps. Well, at least it's as we've pointed out during the show. At least his full totalitarian tendencies.
But only to certain people, though. Only to certain people.
Yeah, it's on display to more people now. More people are getting red-pilled, flipping, as I call it. They used to think that Dan wasn't too bad, but now they realise how awful he is. Because they're sitting at home with no job, not allowed to leave.
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. People are waking up only because they've had to. It's actually affected them now. He never used to affect them before, Yeah, and they choose to look away. But now there's like their business potentially is in turmoil, and their mental health, and they can see their children aren't getting good educations and so on and so forth. Of course they're going to turn, aren't they? Any normal right-minded person would think that.
This time last year, you're free to leave your home for any reason, even at 4 a.m, to go down to the servo to get some milk.
Yeah, that's right.
Now that's highly illegal.
Highly illegal. I mean, geez, going out to get some milk at midnight. It's you're sat there with drug running, isn't it? You probably get fined less for that, for drug running, than you do bloody going out to get a bottle of milk at midnight. Because it's $1,600 fine for buying some milk, and you could be a drug dealer and get nothing.
I still see, because occasionally Victoria Police on their Facebook page post non-COVID enforcement notices, including they're criminals. They're still not obeying the stay-at-home curfew. They're still breaking into houses, carjacking. And the Victoria Police, they're starting putting out composite images of suspects with the masks on. So this is a side effect of the face covering mandate. It's now.
It wasn't that long ago. I remember, 3 years ago, you would get. You weren't allowed to wear a mask. There was a fine, especially if you was at a demonstration that you had a mask on.
Yeah, designated area.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Our times have changed, haven't they? Yeah, mad.
All right. Thanks for joining me tonight, Garry. And
pleasure, Tim. Nice to catch up from you.
Yeah,
I'll catch up with you again in the flesh soon, and we can have a beer together.
Yeah, and for telling your family story. I'm glad that your daughter's well again, and maybe by this Christmas, we can catch up in person.
I might see you up in Queensland somewhere.
Is that where you're planning an escape?
Well, it's funny, I was we were going to Bali in June, and obviously that got canned. So I actually booked a month off of work. I was going up to Cooktown and right up the top there. And that obviously got canned as well in August. So
the only place that I was planning to travel this year was Bendigo for it's going to be the third anniversary of the Bendigo faithful at Patriot's Corner.
I went there. It's funny, that's gone quick because I was there last year. Yeah, geez, that went quick.
Yeah, but obviously we're in the middle of stage 4 during that time, and Bendigo was
when is that? 3. What's the date of that?
It was meant to be the weekend of August 22.
That's come around quick. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But they've been allowed now back since regional Victoria has taken their
I see him on Patriots Corner last week. Yeah, good on him.
Yeah, and they've got the patriot masks on, which
Yeah.
I think will trigger the I Stand With Damn people. Yeah, you're supposed to wear a face covering, but that flag triggers us.
Oh, it's amazing what that flag does, isn't it? Yeah, it just sends people over the edge, sends them in a spin, triggers them.
Yeah, because you can be, this is the unintended consequences which the left progressives never get.
No, just loving your country, mate. They just don't get that, do they? Anyway, all right.
All right, well, we'll take care. Stay safe.
I will, Tim. I'll see you soon, mate. Yeah. And you take it easy.
Yeah, we're not allowed to say stay free anymore because that's incitement.
All good, Tim. You take care, mate.
Cheers. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'll see you tomorrow night for the Uncockables, 8:30 p.m. Melbourne time on the show, YouTube and DLive, and keep checking back on theunshackled.net for all the latest news and commentary. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to WilmsFront. Visit timwilms.com or Rational Rise TV to view the archive of episodes. And keep visiting theunshackled.net to view all our shows. And to keep up with the latest real news and analysis.